Good afternoon, buenas and half a day. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. The date is Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. This afternoon's public hearing is held by the Committee on Transportation, Tourism, Customs, Utilities, Federal and Foreign Affairs. It is hereby called to order. It is 2:01 p.m. Before I begin, let me allow me to go over a few housekeeping matters. Public notice for this hearing was duly disseminated in accordance with the Open Government Law. The first notice was sent out September 17, 2025. The second notice on September 22, 2025. These notices were made available to all senators, local media outlets, the Guam Legislative website, our legislative calendar, and the Government of Guam public notice portal. On today's agenda, we have the appointment of Doyon A. Morato to the Guam International Airport Authority Board of Directors, and Bill number 183-38 CR, which amends Public Law 34-112 to support the Customs and Quarantine Agency in developing a satellite inspection. This time I'd like to acknowledge, of course, my colleagues who are present here this afternoon. We have, of course, Senator Shawn Gumataotao to my right, and to my left, Senator sterile. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Again, I'd like to remind the attendees of the Legislature in Guam our rules of conduct. Individuals wishing to testify must first be recognized by the chair and shall state their full name for the record. Testimony and discussion must remain germane to the subject matter of the hearing. Personal attacks or inferences about the character or motives of any senator or individual testifying are strictly prohibited. In accordance with Section 1107 of the Standing Rules of the 38th Guam Legislature, the chair may order the removal of any individual failing to maintain decorum. The appointment of Doyon A. Morato. With that, we have two important items before the committee. First, we'll review the Governor's appointment of course, Doyon A. Morato to the Board of Directors of the Guam International Airport Authority. The airport is one, of course, of Guam's most important assets, vital for transportation, tourism, commerce, and the connection to the region and to the world. Members of the board carry significant responsibilities in guiding its development and ensuring that the authority continues to serve our people efficiently and responsibly. It is our role to carefully consider Ms. Morato's qualifications and readiness to contribute to this mission. We will now proceed with oral testimony. So please come forward when your name is called and be seated in the front here. We have John Kanata, former Senator Kanata. And of course, Doyon, right? Yeah. Jean, are you testifying? No? Okay. Okay, just two. Okay. We can go ahead and start with, former Senator. Just again, your name and all that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Senator Jesse Anderson Lujan, Chairperson of the Committee on Transportation, Tourism, Customs, Utilities, and Foreign Affairs. Thank you also, Senator Shawn Gumataotao and Senator sterile for being here today. I also like to recognize some of the folks before I start my testimony. Our Director, Jesse Garcia, and I think Director Big Sapti should be joining us real shortly. For the record, I am John M. Kanata, more commonly known as JQ, and I'm here today in my capacity as the Executive Manager of the Antonio B. Wampat International Airport Authority, Guam, to provide testimony in support of the reappointment of Doyon A. Morato to the GIA Board of Directors. Buenas and half a day, Chairman Lujan, and honorable members of this Committee on Air Transportation. Thank you for this opportunity to appear before you today to provide testimony in support of the reappointment of Director Doyon A. Morato to extend her service on the Board of Directors of the AB Wampat International Airport Authority, Guam, or GIA, also known as GIA. With your favorable consideration, if confirmed, this reappointment will be her second extension of service to the people of Guam in this capacity. Since her coming on board at the airport in November of 2019, I've had the great privilege of working with Director Morato in my capacity as a Deputy Executive Manager and Executive Manager of the Airport Authority. She has proved over the years that she brings a very valuable perspective to our board. She has unique fundamental insights in construction, business development, and marketing, skill sets that are much needed in understanding the myriad of challenges of running the day-to-day 24/7 operations while having the visions to plan for the future development to benefit both the airport and our island community. These attributes that have established Ms. Morato as a valued community leader and respected businesswoman on Guam also allow her to assist in the development of sound policy to guide and provide oversight of the airport's management. It is critical as we continue to work on tourism recovery that we have informed, sound, consistent leadership at the helm who works well with all the stakeholders of the Guam's aviation and tourism industry. Her reappointment to the GIA board lends to continuity of our initiatives in recapturing traffic and expanding our business, while creating a viable business environment at the Guam International Airport Authority. On behalf of the entire airport management team and staff, I fully reiterate mine and our full support of Governor Lourdes A. Leon Guerrero's reappointment of Director Doyon Morato to serve once again on the GIA Board of Directors. Sidus Masi.
Thank you very much, Executive Manager Kanata. We also received a written testimony from the chairman of the board, Brian Bamba, as well. I know he couldn't be here. I think he's having surgery or something.
Yes, sir. He's currently receiving medical treatment for possibly a knee surgery.
Okay. Okay. So we have his testimony actually in support of that. So with that, Ms. Morato, please.
Thank you. Hafaday, honorable senators of the 38th Legislature and Committee Chairperson Lujan. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. It has been an honor to serve on the Guam International Airport Authority Board, and I'm humbled to be considered for reconfirmation. I want to express my full support for the vision and leadership of our board. Together, we are committed to guiding the airport through both its challenges and opportunities. We recognize that our arrivals have not yet fully recovered from the impacts of the pandemic and Typhoon Mawar, and this continues to affect not only the airport, but also our tourism, industry, and island economy. As a board, our responsibility is to establish policy that enables management to adapt and improve operations. We remain focused on ensuring safety and regulatory compliance, strengthening revenue opportunities, and maximizing the return on airport assets for the benefit of our community. Beyond that, we know the airport plays a larger role. As Guam serves as a hub for the region, our airport is a critical link in both global travel and national security. This position requires us to prioritize resilience and sustainability in our planning and policies so that the airport remains a reliable and efficient gateway for our people, our visitors, and our partners. For example, our support for infrastructure improvements that enhance both operational efficiency and long-term energy resiliency reflects this forward-looking approach. We remain mindful of opportunities that will help the airport withstand future challenges while keeping costs and reliability in balance. I also want to commend our management and staff for their professionalism and foresight. They work tirelessly to run efficient operations, control costs, and anticipate challenges before they arise. I am proud of the work we have accomplished together and remain committed to helping the airport fulfill its mission as an essential economic driver and community resource and a cornerstone of both our national defense posture and regional connectivity. I respectfully ask for your support for my reconfirmation. Thank you. Sidus Masi.
Thank you, Ms. Morato, and again, congratulations on your reappointment to the board of the GIAA. You know, your previous appointment confirmation, there was a different board or different legislature at the time. So again, to reiterate, so we can get it on the record, and so that the other senators can also go through the testimonies as well to look at your again qualifications for sitting on the board. Can you share again your professional leadership and background, and how your expertise will help continue to effectively serve the GIAA Board of Directors?
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you for the question. My background originally in my early career was marketing and design, and some of you actually may know Zori's Only, which was a greeting card and lifestyle company. I did marketing design along with that for quite a while, 10 years, and then I decided to get more involved in the industry with our federal contractors, and I work for Alaska Native Corporation, which has a multitude of companies, and Guam was one of their first 2 offices in the Indo-PACOM region. Hawaii was opened, and then shortly after Guam, and I was their first hire. And so it was mainly construction. They also did environmental services. And from there, 5 years there, a lot of experience. I became quality control management certified. I worked, on the job site. I basically PM'd and wore many hats just to help keep the ship afloat. And currently, as of last year, I've joined a company, Marunda Defense Services, and they are bringing defense warship engineering repair services to Guam. It is NAVSE certified, so right now we don't have that capability here, and it's to help with forward deployment and readiness in our region. It'll help create jobs, bring business, and assist in our overall regional security. And so with that, in those 2 jobs, it wasn't just doing the day-to-day work. We were following everything that's happening in our region. We are defense contractors, and so it is important for us to help support the mission, basically. And so with all that knowledge, because Guam is my home as well, even though I'm Korean, but this region and Guam is my home, and so it means a lot to me. And I feel I bring that perspective to the board when, being a business owner and then also being in this industry, having worked with corporate and with small business enterprises, I have the perspective, I think, of being both, on many different, I can see things from many different angles. And so I hope, I don't question management too much.
Well, it's important to question management.
Yes, yeah.
Because you were the bosses.
They still like me, I think. Yeah, I think in summary.
How long have you been sitting on the board now?
Since 2019.
19, okay.
So, everything we wanted to do was a little bit put on delay because of the pandemic. And so right now we are doing everything we can to recover, to stay afloat. And so management and the board, we work very closely together to make sure that we are still, keeping security and safety and compliance at the forefront, and then yet still operational and trying to continue to generate revenue while we have this gradual recovery.
Yeah, based on the board members and their diverse backgrounds on the airport, does the board divide up its duties in regards to oversights on maybe what you chair in the airport?
We did at one point, actually.
Okay.
We had small committees, which was only maybe 2 board members, just to hone in on certain issues that we could then communicate to the rest of the boards, because everyone is doing this on a volunteer basis, and it's hard for everyone to dive deep into every project or every issue. But I guess with the open government law, it's caused a little problem.
Sure.
Even though there's no decisions being made, it is just research.
Oh, there can't be 3 of you sitting down and making.
Yeah, so it's not
sure.
3, but even 2.
Sure.
I'm actually asking our legal counsel to look into that again, because we're trying to do our due diligence, and so it's just hindering that. In my opinion.
Obviously you were there prior to the pandemic and, during the pandemic and now, where did you see, of course, the airport prior, then during, and where are we at now compared to when you first came in and, we were in the height of travel and things of that nature, and where are we at in our recovery efforts?
Yeah, it was interesting to come onto the board at the highest our tourism and passenger levels had been, record-breaking, and then to see it suddenly fall, it was very difficult. Everyone struggled, and what we did at the airport, I think, is very commendable. Management on their own, and of course with board support, with the policies that we could put in place and approve and give authority to, is fiscally being responsible, creative ways to budget, cut operational costs. Unfortunately, we couldn't really find. Well, we did find revenue elsewhere by increasing cargo shipments, right? And that helped keep things afloat. But we have been creative, and as we are now slowly coming out of this hole, we're hoping by the end of this year, with the Korean holidays and the airlines bumping up flights, that will make some good numbers. And we're just continuing to do what we can. Thank you for the support of the 38th legislature on passing of the bill to give us authority to properly use our property, utilize our property for revenue, revenue generating income. We're thinking of many other things, and of course we have to constantly be on top of being energy resilient, secure. We're looking into because the resiliency affects our overall island and regional security. So microgrid feasibility study, we're getting underway. Solar panels on our terminal roof, which are already approved and going to get started soon.
One of the homeworks that I would like to, or assign you to, actually, should the 38th Guam legislature again reappoint you to the board, is this, that again, we're giving you the tools and mechanisms again to continue to prosper and to again further the enhancement of port properties and revenues and things of that nature. Over the years, we built out the airport runway. We're now able to go nonstop to the east and west coast. Our hometown airline has not utilized that at this point. During the pandemic, I know they were doing nonstop flights with supplies, okay? And I would hope that the board will again approach the airline as to why this hasn't happened. We did that for that reason, and so we want as much convenience as well for our passengers, for our Guam boarding passengers. I've always said this as someone who, as the oversight chair for just not tourism but aviation as well, we have to have this one Guam approach. And if we're providing the government the tools and mechanisms for prosperity, we also like, again, our airline partners to do the same, to partner up with the people of Guam to make this happen. We built it out. We were able to get the monies to build this out. Why aren't we utilizing it? We have folks that are taking longer routes. So I hope that you put that in the agenda to make sure that that we have true partnership. That as we pursue this, we truly have a one Guam approach to this whole thing. The convenience, as it is, we pay above premium prices, and so we should get premium travel too as well with that. What do you see as the airport authority's top 3 priorities, say in the next 5 years?
I would say resiliency, non-aeronautical revenue generating, other forms of revenue, so that we're not dependent solely on the passengers. Anything can happen, just like our own government realized. capital improvements to make sure our airport is ready for the growth and expansion as the world continues to change. And safeguarding against, I would say, cybersecurity threats as well. So energy resiliency, revenue, other forms of revenue generation, and cybersecurity. Did I say that already? Energy resiliency. But I don't know, EM, I would like to get his opinion too.
Yeah.
She's hit that. That's part of all our 5-year master plan that's up, Senator. It's all that. Plus you're talking about cargo. That's part of our 5-year plan is to increase our cargo capacity. We've got a grant to go out for our A&E for cargo apron to extend it down towards the David Tunkep Parkway.
Yeah, one of the things as well, again, is this situation, right? And I know that it's been planned over the years in regards to a highway and what that's going to be, what's going to happen. But in the meantime, because I see this, I think all of us have seen this, especially in the peak time when they come in around, about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon when they come in, we see quite if you're tourists walking again, from the airport down to around Donkey, right? On Donkey. And at that time, the traffic is really heavy, and they're trying to traverse, the cars that are there. I know that you have met recently with Public Works in regards to this. What is the temporary solution, and that temporary solution, when is that going to go in place, and what is the longer-term solution, and when would that longer-term solution come into play?
So we've met recently, as recent as last week, DPW, GIA, and GVB met together so we can have put our minds together and stuff. And so the temporary solution, the right now solution, is to make sure that we have signage that's there to provide them warning and hopefully deter them from walking on that highway, because it's very, very dangerous. But they still continue to do so. We've had times where we offered them a ride to go to wherever they're going, and they refuse to get in and ride. But yes, we're GVB and DPW. We're coming up with the signage on 4 areas coming down from the airport, and then 2 areas going up to the airport to give a signage that says, "Hey, please do no pedestrians at this point because it's very dangerous. There's no sidewalks."
Would the signage be in different languages?
Yes, that you'll have your general walking with the circle with a sign, and then you'll have the different languages, Korean, Japanese, of course English. That's there. I know somebody said, "Hey, what about in Chamorro?" But even here on Guam, you hardly see Chamorros walking from point A to point B. They'll take a car. But as far as our passengers, yeah, that's who we're very concerned with. And yes, it is. And the long-term solution, it is part of DPW's plan on 10A that sidewalks will be built on that highway, sidewalks and signage and stuff, and widening those roads to be safer. So it'll be a 5-lane highway instead of just a 3-lane.
Now, Doyon, again, I know how much the board gets involved in the operations, the airport operations, but we have inquiries at times in regards to the bathrooms and things of that nature, bathrooms and escalators and your people movers and things of that nature. Can you give us an update on that, and whether, because I know at one point there was a month-to-month, I think, contract or something like that.
Is that the cleaning that
Yes,
you're referring to? Yes, sir. Right now, our cleaning contract is with the AG's office. We're waiting for the AG's office to sign off on that. And once we get that, then we'll give them the notice to proceed. So this time, we have the current contractor that's there, and we will be transitioning over to the new contractor that will take over. And that new contractor is not new to the airport. They are the contractors that handle the inside, the departures area of the airport. And so they now will take over the whole cleaning contract for the airport, inside and outside.
They're at 24/7 then, right?
Yes, sir.
24/7?
24/7.
Okay. So we shouldn't be getting videos and calls regarding
Yes, so
bathroom
unfortunately,
challenges, right?
the videos that you got, we have over 5,000 people that come in and out of the airport on a daily basis. That's passengers and employees. And so from time to time, you're going to see, then the video has it where it's paper towels that were not discarded into the trash can. What we've done to try and prevent that, hopefully, is that we put the trash bins right where the paper towel dispenser is, so that hopefully it's more convenient for them. Because sometimes you'll take the paper towel, and if the trash bin is so many steps away, you'll just throw it where they're at. So we're hoping that putting the trash bins right where the paper towel dispenser is, that it'll go into the trash can.
How about your escalator and people mover situation there, because they go down a lot?
That's right. So our escalators and our elevators are over 30 years old. And so you got one contractor that's running that, and which is Otis. We've had meetings and meetings with them, and a lot of the elevator or the escalators that we have are so old that their parts, to get the parts is a challenge. And so part of our 5-year plan is all those escalators and elevators, and we have funding that is going to be identified by the FAA. That's going to be coming down, but we're going to replace all those elevators and escalators within the next couple of years.
Okay.
In the meantime, we are continuing to talk with our current contractor, Otis, to try and see how they can speed up the process of getting parts. The reality is getting parts to the island is a challenge. Mm-hmm. The supply chain is very slow, and we not only notice it here on Guam, but as we travel in the nation, there's a lot of escalators that are down that are having the same issues that we have.
Mm-hmm. No, I know. It's a matter of fact, I think it's a bit of good news, because I was speaking to an individual a couple days ago that's having the same problems. And, the fortunate thing about that, he said, look, even in my office and my buildings, I have the same problems. So, matter of fact, I'm buying my own elevator and escalator company. So we may have another company that would be that you probably be able to avail to as well out here soon.
Awesome.
So great.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Congratulations.
No, not me.
I think the person that he's talking to.
They'll still have to go through the bidding process, but at least you'll be able to have another company,
That's
because they have the same problems. I think everybody has the same provider.
Right.
And the same.
Or maybe we can additively manufacture them.
I think the company that does us has most of the elevators and escalators here on the island.
Yeah, okay. Ms. Morato, again, how do you intend to balance the needs of course, the local community and the JIA, and with the airport's role in its regional role?
Well, we're constantly having to do both. They're both under our purview. And so to your comment and concern earlier about bringing more United States, U.S. Airlines here, trust me, we also want that too. And it is not all up to us, and we've been working on it, and we will continue to work on it. As you said, with increased cargo capacity, maybe it'll be sort of, I guess, worth their investment. I think that is a lot of the concern on the large airlines. But we continually do that. We work with GVB and with the legislature to get funding in order to provide incentives, anything we can. There's only so much the airport can do, but we do our part and we collaborate, and we are constantly trying to bring in options for our islanders as well as our passengers. As far as regional security, that is being the only Guam airport and in this strategically located region where critical infrastructure, if we go down, it's not good. And so we are regulated by FAA, we've got TSA, we have customs, we have to work with the FBI as far as even cyber and security issues. And so compliance, our airport, I think, has done an amazing job over the years and continues to do so. We, if I may say so, set the bar for the region. Other airports look to us, and even we are sort of used as an example on how things are run. And there's just no compromising that.
Yeah. Another suggestion I have, and to all the board members even that are here, but as well, is that, as we start to rebound in tourism, right? I mean, this one Guam approach. And it's very important, the first impression, the first image that you have in Guam, especially these red eyes, okay? I mean, we have a lot of red eyes that come in at the same time, okay? And, first of all, wherever they're coming from a red eye, you already know how it is. It's a red eye flight, right? It's a red eye flight. It's not a very pleasing flight, right? So you have an airline experience. It might be an airport experience from where they're coming from. That's one experience. I mean, if you have, a bad experience and with either flight attendants or whatever, that's another experience. When they get down, okay, and you don't have this welcoming situation in the airport, that's your third experience. If the line is long in immigration, that's your fourth experience. And if they again, even long, and I'm glad the lines are going really fast now at CQA, that could be another experience, okay? That would be 5. When you go out there and the taxis charge you what they charge you, that's your 6th experience. So by the time they get to their hotel, and if they're in a red eye and they can't stay at the hotel, they can't go into their rooms until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, wow, that's your 7th experience, right? So I'm just wondering, again, in the cohesiveness and the one Guam approach and the one, actually not just one Guam approach, but the one Guam experience, that, yeah, everybody's saying half a day, but I think it has to go beyond the half a day. They have to feel it, right? They have to feel it. They have to feel what they're lining up. I mean, and I hope that you guys will talk to the airlines once they start to taxi out, they land, they play Chamorro music, welcome to Guam, half a day, as they do in Hawaii. So have that experience. If you're going to be our hometown airline, then you got to be our hometown. You got to be from here. You got to feel that. We're giving you incentives. We're working with you. Work with us now to have that great Guam experience. I mean, these are the little things that people remember that could bring tourists back, or these are the things that they will remember that the tourists will never come back to. So it's very important to, as we move forward and seeking more passengers and or tourists to Guam and have them to come back, to return to Guam, so I hope that you take that back to you. Yeah.
Yes, all of us at the airport, we travel too, and so when we notice something, we bring it up and we try to remedy it as much as possible. Unfortunately, with our tight budget, it's hard to implement as many as we would like. We've partnered with GVB in the past, before the pandemic, to do the half-a-day spirit, welcoming, when we had long queues for the Korean passengers especially. We did all those things, and we are working toward trying to fit those into our budget sensibly, to be able to bring that feeling, because we've talked about this many times. We believe even if we're limited on our resources at the moment, any small thing we can do to improve our customer experience by saying half a day more, or changing the lighting, any small measure can go a long way. So we're working on making those those improvements.
I appreciate that, and thank you very much for that. And likewise, again, and I told this to GVB, and we'll be going into session here on Monday. We're looking forward to overriding the governor's veto, and the incentives that we identified for the Guam Visitors Bureau. But the Guam Visitors Bureau is not alone on that. You're partners with the Guam Visitors Bureau in regards to incentives. The airport provides their incentives. The GVB provides the monetary incentives with that. But it's important again because we faced this not too long ago in regards to the miscommunication in regards to incentives, and the chair got a letter, a disturbing letter from an airline in regards to that situation. So be prepared, because we'll be calling in the Guam Visitors Bureau should the 38th Guam Legislature override the governor's veto. The Guam Visitors Bureau will be here monthly for an oversight hearing to account for the $10 million that will go in their incentive programs, and in concert with the airport, because we don't want, again, to be speaking, in silos in this situation, because when we go out for incentive programs, there's a partnership that goes out there. So we want to make sure that we're in concert, both agencies are in concert with that, and likewise the legislature is kept abreast on what is being touted out there, with the people's money. So you guys be prepared for that, okay?
We will. Thank you.
Okay. That being said, Senator Gumataotao, and thank you, Vice Speaker. Thank you for joining us this afternoon as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Doyon, for. You could have said no, but you decided to say yes for a reappointment to the Board of Directors for the airport. In your testimony, you said, quote, "As a board, our responsibility is to establish policy that enables management to adapt and improve operations." You're doing a lot now. Is there one gap that you think that the board can help fill to maybe complement what you mentioned in your testimony today? Is there one thing that you think in the next, as part of your term, that is missing?
A gap as far as giving management.
The airport's not perfect, right? So there's got to be things that you see as a board member that can be improved. What is that for you?
Well, right now our focus is really just to get our revenue back up and continue to comply with our security regulations and improve airline traffic, diversify. And so really that's sort of our focus right now.
And earlier you mentioned that other airports in the region look to the Guam International Airport as an example of how it's run. And I think that I'm hoping that this 38th Guam Legislature is a bridge to be able to allow you and the Board of Directors to be able to take off, no pun intended, to be able to do some great things. When you think about that policy, do you expect that we'll be seeing more in the next couple of months after the board is met, once you get confirmed? Anything that's on the horizon, do you think you need our help with?
Yes, well, we're going to be putting in, I think, the rules and regulations for the bill, because we need to renew our concessions for the passenger customer experience. If we don't have our concessions there, that will hurt us a lot. And so that's why we're very grateful for that support, because we need to start getting that bid out ASAP, because these firms need time to have the interest to know that we're free and clear as far as that's concerned, if you know what I'm referring to. And so we need to have as much competition as we can to bring the best to our airport. So
right.
If you can please support us on that. We are doing our due diligence to make sure that they are done correctly to preserve integrity for our board and for future boards to come.
All right, thank you for that. And just say, because based on your background, I don't think mine's too far apart, but it's been awesome to see how you're able to take what you used to do, getting out of your comfort zone, if you will, and to try something completely different. You've been a very successful construction professional. I know you brought great things to the Guam International Airport, and at this point, you can be assured that in me, you have at least an affirmative vote to be the next member of the Board of Directors of the airport. So thank you very much for serving again, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator Gumataotao. Senator Terlai.
Hafade, and thank you
Hafade.
for accepting this nomination again, and thank you for your work on the board for these years. I remember your first confirmation hearing.
You were here.
Yes. The just wanted to check the nomination packet. The employment history does not include what's on your resume. That's also attached.
Yes, yeah, sorry. I was off island when I was filling it out, and it would not let me, it was not a workable PDF form,
Okay.
and so that's why my resume is attached.
All right. So the difference that I'm seeing right away is the Marunda Defense Services that began in 2024 to the present. Looks like the job there is, or that this company provides strategic leadership and business growth and market expansion for foreign-owned company in first U.S. location. Identify and advise on government programs, grants, and tax incentives to maximize resources. Ensure proper corporate federal compliance for regulatory adherence, and spearhead new company initiatives in technology and manufacturing for submarine and maritime industrial base, expand customer base, contract opportunities with local and federal government. And because of its references to advising on government programs, grants, and contract opportunities, do you see any potential conflict with this new role of yours on this company and on the board for the airport?
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate the question. No, there would be no conflict. That phrase is really for if it was a U.S. company. Granted, there are some programs that a foreign-owned company would be able to avail of, but in no way would there be any conflict. This is business, just like anyone who sits on any other board conducts their own business with their ethics and legality in mind. And so it is only allowing them to see what is available, because I do the research. I'm aware of what's out there that may not be easily found. And so that's the kind of guidance and strategic development role I play.
All right, I appreciate that. It's just that the airport is now expanding to 50-year leases and opening up for non-airport related or activity, and so just wanted to make sure, so get your answer on the record. So I appreciate that.
I would like to clarify that the leases would have to be aeronautical related, right? It could be both. It could be both? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was.
So, and all right, then I wanted to talk about that just for a minute, and really in regards to transparency. So you're aware of this 2013 lawsuit from the airport master concessionaire DFS, alleged airport misconduct in awarding a $154 million contract to LOTI Guam. The settlement of that suit concluded only this year, 12 years later. So that is, of course, a great concern. We don't want to see any repeats of that with this great authority that the airport has. And then you mentioned earlier that, you said thank you to the legislature for giving the airport the authority to use its property properly. But I just want to know, are you aware that the airport always had that authority to use its property? However, it wanted to extend the leases beyond 5 years, but they actually never applied for an extended term lease or did what the statute required of them.
Thank you, Senator. Let me just correct the verbiage. I didn't mean to use properly. I meant to use at its potential. And so as you know, with the 5-year lease, it's limiting for any investor to come in. I understand that the legislature is part of the process and it would need approval, but from a business standpoint, a firm who is going to invest millions, possibly millions of dollars into building out a hangar or warehouse, it is hard to go only based on a 5 to 5 year
Yeah, I agree.
increment.
Yeah, so
'cause
the
in
question
5
is,
years, it may
were
not-
you aware that the airport never applied for an extended term lease, as all the other agencies are required to do? If they want a lease longer than 5 years, they're able to do that if they follow the statute. My question to you as a board member is if you are aware that they never did that, they never tried.
I am not aware.
That was one of the issues when we discussed this bill. So the bill's now Public Law 3821. And at the time that we were discussing it, the bill gives these great powers to the airport, including to make its own rules without going through the AAA process, which would, in the end, bring those rules to the public, bring those rules to the legislature and to the governor. And the law bypasses all of that, and it makes the airport board promulgate its own rules. This is something that the governor warned against in her letter with the public when she made the bill lapse into law. She warned against giving the airport authority an expansive power to develop rules, approve contracts, become the final arbiter of procurement grievances instead of the public auditor or the courts. But at that time, the airport said it had been working on rules, but it would not disclose those rules to us at all, not even its drafts. And so since then, the governor, according to the news, because I haven't been able to see the executive order myself, it's not online, it's not as transmitted to the legislature as it was supposed to be, but the news article says that according to the executive order, the governor has formalized requirements to establish clear and uniform guidelines, minimize errors, assure the public that the airport will carry out its responsibilities under the law, and then there's a whole list of things that she supposedly mandated, and I just wanted to know, so one of them is, the airport shall promulgate and adopt the initial concession policies as provided in Public Law 3821, and such policies shall become effective upon the governor's approval and signature. Are you aware of the board working on rules? Are you working on those rules? Are you?
Not personally. I've seen a draft of them, but yes, we have been working on them, and the intent is to file an amendment to that bill because the rules are hopefully, to your satisfaction, meet and alleviate your concerns.
Okay, great. You mean in transparency, public
Yes,
notice?
yes.
Okay, great.
Because we want that too.
All right, good. And procurement appeals, so that contractors who feel that they've been aggrieved can appeal and will be maybe hopefully through the public auditor instead of the same board. Okay, so I'm looking forward to seeing those, and I'm just pointing this out because we've never seen them up to now. So we passed a law without even seeing what the airport intended as its rules, and the governor describes that law as the powers, to say that the powers conferred in Bill 67 are susceptible to abuse would be an understatement to a laughable degree. There is no other procurement in our entire government, not schools, not hospital, that is excused from procurement law. So I do hope to see that the board is very cognizant of the concerns of the legislature when that was passed, the concerns of, it should be of every potential contractor, that they are going to, be treated fairly, and that the procurement appeal process is going to be fair as well, and that the governor gave very specific demands or mandates, and hopefully those are, as a minimum, are going to be included as well. So have you seen the executive order from the governor?
Yes, I briefly looked at it.
All right. Yeah, so my goal in this is transparency and fairness. That's the goal of the procurement law itself. So I'm just hoping the board is going to help us to make sure that that happens. Are you? I was reading the letter from Brian. Sorry, his testimony in support of your nomination, and sorry, just one second. And I like how he described it. I guess it's. So he mentioned several things, but I circled project management and engineering experience, which augments the board's individual skill sets. So I appreciate that, and that your vision of board leadership. You support the vision of board leadership, yet does so with challenging ideas for better results. And I want to thank you for that. The challenges, I think all ideas can be better with challenge, and that's why we have adopted all of this open government, so we can hear from people, make our ideas better. And then he talks about your business background is relied upon to enhance customer experiences in all aspects of the traveler journey. And so I know that the chairman talked about that. I just want to talk to you about a couple things. I think we were on the same flight recently.
Yes.
And customer experiences, do you have any immediate concerns that you want to see improved?
Well, that was one of my main passions when I joined, just to make sure that the customer experience would be as great as it could be. But we had COVID and the typhoon, and so we haven't been able to implement everything we wanted. We've done repainting of the whole terminal. We're doing flooring of the terminal floor with terrazzo, nice graphics, welcoming, hopefully less echo, and the bumps. You know, it is the small things. We realize when we notice things while we're traveling, we always bring it back to the board and management, and the management staff has always been very, very quick to make changes. We've done, when we've brought some issues up, they started doing walkthroughs. So every week, I think it is, they do a walkthrough entering their flight all the way up to the gate, and then the next week they do offboarding, and some of the board members, we've done it with them, and as all the managers are there, looking at what can be improved, cleaned up. So we're doing the best we can with our resources, trying to allocate them carefully to be fiscally responsible, but staying compliant and keeping things operational and secure.
All right, okay, I appreciate that. I had just maybe 3 observations.
Okay.
One was a good one, and that was when the bags finally came out, there were no lines at customs, and I'm glad customs is here. It was quick, it was very efficient to get through that. I was a little bit surprised that the airline never announced that the customs forms are only online. I mean, we kind of know that if you travel a lot, but they never really announced it. So
They used to have it. They used to have the paper ones at the end, but they got away with that. I didn't realize.
well, I haven't
either.
seen any. I don't think so, right?
Is it only
So
online?
yeah, maybe you can work with the airline to just keep announcing that before they get on the flight, announce to them that they want to fill that out before they, whatever. But I know it's not your mandate necessarily, but just for ease of them to get through.
I think Senator Customs and GVB are consistently working with the airlines to try and have that announced at their point where they board the aircraft, or before they board the aircraft. You'll see that they're asking you, did you do the customs QR code yet, or have you done it? If not, this is a QR code. Please get online and fill out your customs declaration. However, some people does not or did not do it, and they have the ability when they get down into the customs area. There's kiosks there.
Yes, I've seen
Yes.
those.
So
I think the kiosk, you need, trying to remember to, but anyways, yeah. I think
Better
it's just more
accessibility,
convenient
or
if they tell
even
you in
that, right.
advance, yeah.
right.
Yeah,
And
maybe
that-
we could put up signs as they disembark Did you do your?
In our last walkthrough the other day, Senator, we did. Matter of fact, Ike was with us. Customs Director was with us, and we're trying to see how we can improve the kiosk and making it easier for passengers to access it and to use it for those that did not get our QR code before they arrived into Guam.
All right, the walks are long, but at that time, yeah, anyways, I know this
working
is
on that.
common with many other airports, but for Guam, I mean, yeah, we hope we can resolve that. But, and then one very minor, and that was, we talked about bathrooms. I guess they were talking about videos. I haven't seen those videos. That's not an issue that I've ever experienced. My issue is that I don't see the flights are, at least, like I came from Honolulu, it didn't come in with any other flight at that time, or there was no one else in the baggage area, but the bathrooms were not stocked with paper
Right. So we did. We addressed that. We continue to address that, and what we have been able to talk with now with Guam Customs, and they're able to approve it, is to have the cleaners there even when the passengers come down, because there's lots of times that before the flight comes down or when the flight comes down, that the cleaners have to exit out of customs so that they don't commingle at the time. So we're able to try, at least now, for now, until we can get, once the floors are all done and all bathrooms are open, that we're able to get them. But at this time, we have an agreement with customs to have the cleaners there more often than what they're supposed to
Okay,
be.
and you're saying those services are outsourced?
Yes, they're contracted out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
I do want to talk about the baggage issue. When we came in, I noticed that as well, and so I was texting the board and management, and they got back to me right away, and I said, is this the airport or is this the airline? Either way, can we remedy this? And so I know they are, it is not airport staff, it is airline, but I think there's some scanning issues, and so they are talking to them to try to keep that moving faster or fix those technical issues.
thank you. And then I think you were here at the hearing that we had when we were talking about incentives for airlines. And something that had come up at that hearing was that it was the airport reps who had promised incentives that it was really beyond their scope to allow or to authorize. And I just want to know if you're familiar with that. Were you keeping tabs of that? And now we know, of course, as the chairman stated, GVB is asking for the general fund to cover those promises plus other incentives, I believe. But are you aware of that? And is that something that is possible to happen again? Or is the board on it and that cannot happen again?
From my understanding, I think it was a miscommunication because it was an up to a certain amount of a discount or incentive. And so I wasn't there when the conversation happened, but I highly doubt that any one of our representatives would have promised a certain amount without getting any approval elsewhere. So I believe maybe it could have been a miscommunication where it can go up to a certain amount, but it is not, maybe it was just the number that was heard. But I was not there in that conversation, but unfortunately, it happened there. And it needs to be clarified and rectified, and I think everyone is working toward that.
Have you seen the letters from the companies?
I didn't see it, no.
All right, well, I'm just going to ask you to take a look at those. I think as a board member, I'm just going to ask that you have to be aware of all these things. I would not rely on management to give you information. I would demand it of them, and that's what I would expect of the board members, especially for the airport, where so much is at stake and where we have given such great authority to them, that just requires more responsibility of more oversight, I would think, because particularly that's huge, and we are taking from the general fund to cover that, and it's while we have other challenges in the government, and yet the proceeds that the airport is going to make off of the land that the people of Guam and some ancestral landowners have given to the airport, they're not going to get anything from that except, indirectly. So, yeah, I just want everybody to keep that in mind. And so if you could just, I know you're a good board member, and I'd like you to continue. I just want you to understand that we've given them a great, great responsibility, lots more power, and I think that requires a lot more oversight by the board and more look at all the details, please, especially anything that comes to light and that we're discussing here. So, and if they're not giving you these letters, then yeah, that's what I would say. Have you seen the whole, issue? Have you seen everything in regards to this issue?
I will definitely look into
Thank
that.
you.
And I do ask for documentation and inquire if I feel like I need to learn more. So I will definitely look
Appreciate
into that.
that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Terlay. Vice Speaker Atta.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, ma'am, for being here this afternoon for your confirmation hearing. I just wanted to go off on Senator Terlay's issue about the Public Law 38-21, which is the expansion of the lease with the Guam Airport Authority. Was the board a part of that crafting of the legislation, and were you a part of that crafting of the legislation?
Yes, we were involved with it. We were working with management on that.
And working with management and the board, were you guys working also with the front office in that piece of legislation?
Front office?
Out of the governor's office?
Yes.
Yes. So, and I bring that up because I'm just kind of concerned as to the blowback that we got after that bill was passed by this body, and the governor, let it lapse into law versus signing it. So I'm just kind of figuring out, where did the disconnect come between the board, the management, and the governor's office?
Do you want to answer that?
I'm asking the confirmee. Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, if I may be a little frank, I believe the disconnect was her legal advisors. And so I believe she supported it, but her legal advisors cautioned her on signing it into law and had their reservations. So I think that strong language is mainly from her advisors, which are important. And so it is, I think at the end of the day, all of our responsibilities to make sure, it's regrettable that we weren't all able to agree and have that signed into law with the 38th legislature's support, because I believe it was very important for the airport to have this. It is not in order for us to abuse our authority or take advantage. The revenues that come into the airport go back to our island. It goes back into capital improvements. It goes back into security, moving forward without the changes in the future that we're going to have to keep up with. Hopefully, maybe expansion one day. But yes, that was something that happened in the front office. We also would have liked it to be another way as well.
Yeah,
and that's why we're going to file those amendments with the rules and regulations to help allay the concerns that everyone might have, whether it's at the governor's office or with the senators.
But this was a piece of legislation that you just mentioned to me was crafted by the board, the airport management, and the front office. Now, in conjunction with all three, now we had something that the front office, the governor's office, legal counsel, I'm surprised that their legal counsel didn't reach out to the Guam Airport's legal counsel to communicate with one another about the concerns that they have with the bill, that the amendments probably could have been made on the floor prior to the bill being passed by this body and then transmitted down to the governor's office for her signature. And then perhaps we would have gotten her to sign the bill instead of letting it lapse into law and then coming back saying that we gave the airport unparalleled authority to do whatever they want. And in her way of going against it, issued an executive order of what needs to be done and how it has to be done. So, I mean, that's where I'm very concerned because, you know, we try to work collaboratively with the airport authority. And trust me, when the chairman came out and asked us to help work with this piece of legislation, we all got together and said, yeah, we'll work with it. But when the bill came back unsigned with that long letter from the governor, then we were all like, what is going on here? Because now the governor does not support what the board, the management, and her office all agreed upon. So, you know, I'm just trying to figure out where is, you know, if there's still a disconnect between the governor's office and the airport authority's board of directors and airport management.
I think with the approval, the review and the approval eventually of the rules and regulations, I think we will all get on the same page. I can't speak for any, you know, inside dealings. I am not privy to all of that, and I don't want to assume anything.
But you're a part of the board. How can you not be privy to information that is crucial to operations of the airport authority? So the thing is that where I'm coming from is what the governor is telling us is that she doesn't have faith and confidence in the airport board and the airport management when she issued that letter saying that we've given you guys unparalleled powers to do such things without legislative oversight. So this is where my concerns come in as a legislator, because now it just, I have to question now, where does the workings of the administration, the board, and the management in this bill that was crafted, that you said the three were working together to craft this legislation, and in the end was just lapsed into law and saying that we have given you guys unparalleled powers to do, you know, what you guys need to do. And now she did a executive order to curb that. So how do you feel being given the free reins to do, and then now you're reined back in to do it in a certain way?
You know, if I may, I don't know if I should bring up our deputy executive manager, if you want to elaborate a little bit.
Actually, Vice Chair, I can answer those questions for you as well, if you want me to.
No need, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I'm asking confirm me only, and the reason why I'm asking you, ma'am, is because you're coming up for reconfirmation, and I just want to know that where we stand as a board. You know, are we going to do what is right for the people of Guam and for the airport authority? You know, and if the office of the governor and the management, you know, with the board can't support each other, then I think it needs to be reestablished, some type of communication saying, hey, before we do something now, let's work together to ensure this is going to be something that all of us are agreeing on.
I don't believe the governor's executive order and her not signing it meant that she did not have any confidence in this particular board or any particular board. It was just that the bill gave a lot of latitude, and so whether it's for our board or any future board. So I don't think she was saying she is not supportive of us. She wanted to make sure that the rules and regulations, that the parameters would be in place, and that is what we're doing right now, and it will come before you for your input, your feedback, your red lines, if you wish. But we are trying to do the best. We are all citizens of this island and want to protect whatever is put in place, whether it's at the airport or a bill at the
Yeah,
legislature.
absolutely. And that's why I'm saying, right, when I first asked you in crafting this legislation, was it the board? Were you there yourself, the management, and the office of the governor? And you told me yes. And so this is what the governor had said. Bill 6738 is far from perfect. As many of its critics have noted, Bill 67 confers expansive power on the Guam International Airport Authority Board of Directors to develop and unilaterally adopt the very regulations that will govern the GIA procurement of concessions without requiring the board comply with the strictest of the administrative adjudication law, without requiring the board to obtain the legislator's approval, and without requiring the board to obtain my approval. So that's why I come back to the question again. Why wasn't this, if this was a piece of legislation that was drafted, put together, and put to this body by the board, the management, and the office of the governor, that she would come out with a letter like that, so scathing, and not even signing the bill into law? So I'm just saying, that's why I think what needs to happen is that communication needs to be reestablished between the board, the management, and the office of the governor. Because I don't think that we can move in this direction knowing that, and this is what my thoughts are, is that the board and the management was doing this on their own without the knowledge of the office of the governor. Is that true?
No.
No?
I believe we probably drafted and then went for a review. So it's not that they were there from the very beginning, is my understanding. We would obviously draft it first for their review, and we were working with them.
Okay. So where are we at with the rules and regulations for this bill?
How soon will it be ready for review?
Senator, we are before the, it's called the policies and procedures and not rules and regulations, right?
Policies and procedures, sure.
And so because of the governor's executive order, we are trying to address that executive order through an amendment, and we're going through making sure we scrutinize every little thing and address everything that she had in her executive order to make sure that there are safeguards in there.
Is that an amendment to the current statute?
Yes, sir.
So you're going to want us now to do an amendment to a bill that we just passed that was not signed by the governor, that she gave a letter saying that we gave you unparalleled powers, and now you want us to do an amendment to it? I'm just asking because of the fact that now we're going to find ourselves back in that situation. We've put forth these amendments, and then it goes back down to the governor's office, and then she's not going to sign it.
And so we are definitely working with the governor's office in putting this amendment together to make sure that it meets the intent of that executive order.
But the bill was worked with the governor's office in the beginning. So we shouldn't have amendments to do on this piece of legislation. I was in full support of it. Trust me, I was, because I know the advantages of a long-term lease that can bring to the airport authority by having our hangars rented out, have aviation maintenance done here. I mean, I know what can be done. But what I don't appreciate is having this piece of legislation go through, knowing that it was in collaboration with the board, the management, and the office of the governor, and then coming back the way it did. And now you guys are going to want us to put amendments to correct the bill that you guys put forth to us so that we can have this type of powers.
We're actually putting that amendment in, Senator, so we can make sure that there are safeguards to make sure to address those things that the governor has put forth in her memo.
Thank you, sir. But I'm asking if I can Go back to the, come for me. What would be your, how are we gonna?
We're in the same boat as you, and so,
No, you're not in the same boat as us. Absolutely not. Because we went with the word, what you guys told us. You, the board, management, and the office of the governor, what you guys presented to us, we took for value. And we presented to this body, and we passed it. So how are we going to address now these policies and procedures? If we decide we're not going to do amendments, what's going to happen now to the bill or the legislation that was passed?
I just want to note that this was unexpected for us as well, and in that regard, that's what I meant. We're in the same boat. I suppose it's possible that the amendments don't get passed, but it is in good faith that we're putting these amendments in place.
Remember, in good faith, we took your legislation and we brought it to this body in good faith. And this is what we got in return in good faith.
The governor's office is requesting through an executive order that these be put in place. And so we are just following that EO.
But weren't you guys following the advice of the legal counsel when you guys were drafting the legislation?
I'm not sure how much more I can say on that to satisfy your questions.
No, it's not to satisfy my questions, ma'am, and trust me, it's just working, how are we going to work together, right? And I just want to make sure that what's put forth by the Guam Airport Authority, management, and board of directors is going to be something that is worked on with the office of the governor, so that when it comes down here, when we go through the legislation, that when we pass it, that we don't get something in return that, you know, is, because I truly feel that was unjust, what the governor's office did with that, with the not signing the bill and her letter back to the legislature. Because what that did is put into my mind that there's no trust and confidence in the board of directors to do what is right. And I think all of us are appointed or elected into positions to do what is right and just. So, you know, but thank you for your questions, and thank you for bearing with me as, you know, we go back and forth on this piece of legislation, because I think it's very important, only because of the fact that this has long-term effects of what can happen at the Guam Airport Authority. How leased properties, how the concessions, things like that can actually affect revenues for the airport. And I think that's what all of us want to see here, is the increase of revenues to the Guam Airport Authority, and to see more passengers enjoy the Guam experience. Other than that, the only other question I had was, are you still, I was looking over your packet, are you still the founder and CEO of Zorit's Only Guam?
No, I had closed it in order to take on the new job with the federal contractor.
So then the dates held 2009 to present, when was it closed?
I probably stopped around 2019, 20.
Okay, so there's a correction then
Yes,
in
yeah.
your packet? Okay.
Sorry,
No problem, that's okay.
I don't like updating my resume too often.
Other than that, Mr. Chairman, that's the only question I had, the concern with the legislation that was passed by this body in granting the airport authority that power to do what needs to be done. But it in no way says anything about any individual member of the board or of management. I look at it as collective, all of you as a board and as management, and how you work with the office of the governor. So don't take anything personal. It's just all in working with each other to ensure that we can have a viable piece of legislation that is going to be worked with and benefit the people of Guam.
Thank you, Vice Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. And likewise, it's a concern that we all have because we work collaboratively, actually, with the airport board and its management in crafting such bill. And it wasn't an overnight situation. It was months of putting that together, and likewise in collaboration with the governor's office. And this I know firsthand as well because I was on the phone numerous times with the governor regarding this bill. So when it came back with the again with the law lapsing into law. It took us by surprise as well because we were all on one page, and I know that the disconnect absolutely was with the legal counsel, and I question legal counsel as well because I mean I know that in the past at least one legal counsel was involved in and they shouldn't have because they were conflicted in that situation. They were involved in a suit between the two entities, the duty-free and also Lotte. And that being said, if you were an attorney representing, at one point representing an entity and advising a governor in that situation, I think they should have recused themselves in regards to that advice anyway. And they were under the impression that this bill was crafted for a certain company, and so that being said, it was legal counsel's advice to the governor, and I thought as well, my again not having any legal knowledge, but advising the governor and such that it was unethical for them to do as such. Now, I don't know if it is or not. We never brought it to the ethics board and all that. But again, that was the disconnect. But we were working closely. The board was working closely with the governor's office and its management and our committee in crafting this legislation with all the safeguards, and not just that, but with the FAA, with the FAA in crafting that, because we wanted to make sure that if the bills pass and move on with that the airport does not lose any federal funding based on awards of contracts. So again, I understand Ms. Morato's situation because we were in the same situation. Like, whoa, well, where's the disconnect? And so again, thank you for wanting to continue to stay on the board with that. But yeah, it's going to be hard pressed. I mean, again, to have a bill come down to us to undo what we've collaboratively worked on closely, without a justified explanation, just as I mean, for us, the bill that will come down would be a CYA for the administration. Not from the legislature. It's strictly a CYA, administration CYA, not us. But that being said, again, this concludes the portion of public hearing related to the appointment of Ms. Doyon Morato. We'll take a break before we go to the next agenda item, which is Bill 183-38. And we're going to try, I can't promise you that we'll try to get this appointment on our session. If not, it would be the next legislative session that we convene on. Okay? Thank you very much. We'll take a 5-minute break. Recess.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senators.
Good afternoon again. The committee is back from recess. Next agenda is Bill number 138-38 CR by Shawn Gumataotao, an act to amend Section 2B of Public Law 34-112 as amended, relative supporting the Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency's ongoing efforts to develop the Customs Satellite Inspection Holding a Secured Sterile Facility. Bill number 183-38 CR aims to amend Public Law 34-130 or 1112 to support the Customs and Quarantine Agency in developing a satellite inspection, holding, and secured sterile facility. As chairman of the Customs, I do support this initiative for Guam. It strengthens our ability to protect our borders, safeguard our community from invasive threats, and ensures a smooth and secure flow of trade and commerce. As Guam's role in the region continues to grow, I agree that we must give Customs and Quarantine the tools and facilities they need to carry out their mission effectively. At this time, I want to defer to the author, Senator Shawn Gumataotao, for his opening remarks. After I introduce, of course, the senators that are here, Senator Gumataotao, of course, the author, Vice Speaker Toniata. Thank you again. Senator Terlai, thank you very, very much. So, Senator Gumataotao.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for scheduling this public hearing on Bill 183, which, if approved, provides additional time for the Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency to finalize development of a much-needed satellite inspection, holding, and secure sterile facility on reserved government land in the municipality of Pidi. Required by Public Law 34-112 in 2018 to develop a satellite inspection facility within 3 years, CQA was granted an additional 5 years through Public Law 3612, which was authored by former Senator and our current delegate to the U.S. House of Representatives, the Honorable James Moylan. Mr. Chair, to help provide additional background information on our collective efforts as a legislature to move this issue forward, I would like to reference the March 6, 2025 tour of CQA operations at the Port Authority of Guam, which was coordinated by you, Mr. Chair, and the committee. From my discussions with CQA staff during that particular legislative visit, I learned that the agency had yet to identify a funding source to support the construction of the satellite inspection facility. Subsequent to our Port Authority of Guam visit, I wrote to Delegate Moylan on March 7, 2025, appealing to his office and other congressional leaders to support the people of Guam with a direct appropriation for the development of a CQA satellite inspection facility. In a series of communications with Delegate Moylan and his staff, each time I emphasized the importance of such a facility to the work of our local and federal law enforcement entities. Mr. Chair, these hardworking women and men of our law enforcement community are at the front lines, protecting our families against the illegal movement of weapons, drugs, and other contraband into our great American territory. Additionally, the establishment of a CQA satellite inspection facility would strengthen our ongoing efforts to address the importation of invasive species, which continue to threaten Guam's natural resources and those of the vitally important ecosystems, not just in Guam, Mr. Chair, but throughout Micronesia. Mr. Chair, I also reached out directly to CQA Director Morato on April 24, 2025, requesting information on the status of any plans his agency might have in place for developing the satellite inspection facility. Director Morato responded on April 30, 2025, summarizing that CQA has undertaken diligent efforts to advance the facility project, and in collaboration with the Port Authority of Guam and their consultants, CQA convened meetings to discuss the optimal integration of the facility into the port's master plan. Due to the need for such a facility and the deadline imposed by the public law, CQA established a container inspection facility working group in early 2024. The CIF working group is responsible, Mr. Chair, for overseeing all facets of the project, including facility design, operational needs, equipment, and future growth of the agency, as well as exploring all reasonable financing options to fund this facility construction and its sustainability over time. To ensure comprehensive planning, the CIF Working Group conducted a site visit to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Container Inspection Facility in the state of Washington, in Seattle, to be exact, to assess facility requirements there. Based on the CIF's Working Group assessment, the facility necessary to meet CQA's operational and strategic needs is estimated to cost upwards of $40 million. To secure funding, CQA informed the Committee on Public Safety, Emergency Management, and the Guam National Guard at the time that it had planned to submit a grant application to the Department of Transportation Maritime Administration, or MARAD, under their Port Infrastructure Development Program 2025. If successful, the grant would cover 80% of the estimated cost for the construction, equipping, and furnishing of that facility. With that, Mr. Chair, I do look forward to the presentations this afternoon, particularly updates that may be available regarding the status of CQA's application to the U.S. Department of Transportation and other grant opportunities that may have or will be available to support this critical public safety mandate. I also look forward to continue working with the agency and relevant stakeholders, to include the Port Authority of Guam and the Port Users Group, on any amendments that may be needed to move Bill 183-38 COR forward in our legislative process here. Mrs. Masi, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time today.
Thank you, Senator Gumataotao. We'll start off, of course, with Director Morato. And again, folks, identify yourselves as well, okay? Thank you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Senators. Senator Ada, Senator Gumataotao, our Chairman, and Senator Talahi. My name is Syed Paredo. I'm the Director for the Customs and Quarantine Agency, and I have my staff with me, and I'll have them introduce themselves at this point in time. To my right.
My name is Vincent S. Perez. I am the Chief of Customs.
Pete Senektos Ofashar. I'm the Supervisor for Research and Development.
I'm Captain Iglesias. I'm also Supervisor over at R&D, Research and Development.
Francis Farron, Assistant Chief, Guam Customs.
Good afternoon, Senator Lujan, and esteemed members of the Committee on Transportation, Tourism, Customs, Utilities, Federal and Foreign Affairs. My name is Syed Paredo. I'm the Director for the Customs and Quarantine Agency. This afternoon, I am grateful for the opportunity to provide testimony in support of Bill 183-38, proposed by Senator Gumataotao. This legislation seeks to amend Section 2B of Public Law 344112, thereby granting the Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency an additional 2 years of administrative jurisdiction for property designated as partial 1-3 as delineated on map 055 FY 144. This extension is an additional 2 years, is crucial for the completion of the Customs Satellite Inspection Holding and Secure Sterile Facility, which will operated by and exclusively for the use of the Customs and Quarantine Agency. The construction and operation of this facility is paramount for the comprehensive safety and security of the island. Furthermore, it will facilitate the enhancement of border facilitation and mitigation procedures for merchandise entering the island through Commercial Port of Guam. This customs inspection facility is designed to minimize potential unforeseen consequences of regulatory and enforcement inspection that would otherwise be conducted within the broader community, maximizing current and planned agency inspection resources, interdict illicit contraband, and will serve as a location to isolate potential or known threats to the community. Support for Bill 183-38 is essential for the members of this body, and as the additional time will enable the agency to persist in its endeavors to realize this facility. Presently, the working group I have established have made substantial progress towards achieving this objective. I am pleased to announce that the agency has been awarded a no-cost share grant of $2 million from the U.S. Department of Transportation Maritime Administration Fiscal Year 2024 Port Infrastructure Development Program, specifically for architectural and engineering services to design the facility. In August, the award amount was transferred and loaded into CQA's account in August of this year. In addition to the preliminary conceptual design and assistance provided by the Port Authority of Guam consultants and the loading of funds, the agency met with the Department of Public Works, who have agreed to undertake the procurement of architectural and engineering service. It's important to note that while this facility has been a priority for our agency, several significant challenges have impacted our timeline. COVID-19 pandemic disrupted normal operations and processes. Typhoon Mawar caused substantial infrastructure damage and diverted agency resources to recovery efforts. And securing adequate funding required 3 years of persistent effort during the current administration before we could obtain the necessary matching funds. Additionally, like many infrastructure projects during this period, we faced broader challenges, including construction and labor shortages. COVID-19 related supply chain disruptions that affected materials available and caused an increased shipping expenses that significantly impacted construction projects that are Guam-based, such as the military build-up construction. These obstacles, now largely resolved, have been accounted for in our planning. This has enabled us to secure the $2 million federal grant funding and establish the partnership needed to move forward effectively within the requested extension period. In conclusion, I wish to express my profound appreciation to Senator Gumataotao for introducing this bill and for his foresight in recognizing the necessity for additional time for the Customs and Quarantine Agency to complete this facility. Again, thank you for allowing me to speak today in support of Bill 183-38. I'm available to take any questions and clarify my testimony to the members.
Thank
you. Good afternoon, Oversight Chair Senator Lujan, LE Oversight Chair Senator Gumataotao, Vice Speaker Tonieta, and Senator Therese Terlahi. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vincent S. Perez, and I am the Chief of Customs. And thank you for the opportunity to testify in strong support of Bill 183-38 COR. I would like to first reiterate the Director's testimony and emphasize why this bill is essential to the future of Guam Customs and Quarantine. Background of the project: on July 17, 2018, Public Law 34-112 granted Customs administrative jurisdiction over a 4-acre parcel of land at the Port Authority of Guam for the purpose of developing a custom satellite inspection, holding, and secured sterile facility. The law required the facility to be developed within 3 years, or else the property will revert back to the government of Guam. Because of the magnitude of this project and the difficulty in securing funding, the legislature previously granted an extension of time. And now this bill seeks to provide another necessary extension to ensure this critical project is completed. The importance of the facility. This facility will be the first true customs inspection facility for Guam aligned with federal standards. It will provide a fixed X-ray system for screening containerized freight, provide isolated and secured areas for inspections and enforcement actions, and allow greater accountability and control of freight entering Guam. It will be one of the government of Guam's greatest assets in protecting our people, our island, and our resources. Challenges and delays. The journey to this point has not been without setbacks. Securing federal support, meeting regulatory requirements, and navigating the pandemic significantly slowed progress. Key challenges included limited availability of local funding, federal application and approval processes, including compliance with NEPA, Section 106, and the National Historic Preservation Act, and Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, and other statutes and policies. COVID-19 restrictions that delayed the planning meetings, permit applications, and stakeholder consultations. Despite these challenges, Customs continued to move forward at every possible stage. Timeline of key milestones. In October 2018, the Satellite Inspection Facility Planning Committee Chair was appointed. In January 2019, the Project Planning Committee assembled and initiated and compiled research in moving this project. Comprehensive meetings held with DPW, Port Authority, and other stakeholders were conducted to receive input on the facility design. In December of 2020, initial cost estimates were received from the Port Authority of Guam. In January of 2021, project information was submitted to the Guam State Clearinghouse. In March of 2021, Public Law 36-12 was initiated in order to provide an extension of time. In February of 2022, Senator Moylan at the time conducted site visits to the property. In August of 2022, Bill 27636, introduced by Senator Moylan to appropriate $2 million for an A&E as an amendment, but failed. In March 2023, Customs applied for the FY 2026 community project funding through Congressman Moylan at the time. In August 2023, we met with the governor's special project coordinator regarding this facility. In May of 2024, discussions with the Maritime Administration, or MARAD, on Section 106 and NEPA compliance requirements by way of video conference, emails, and site visits. June 2024, MARAD executed a $2 million grant agreement with Customs for the architecture and engineering design. In July of 2024, MARAD conducted a physical site visit to the actual satellite inspection facility site. In October 2024, there was a review and approval of the civil rights policies in line with this application. In January 2025, Customs site visit with US CBP at the Port of Seattle to benchmark federal inspection facilities was conducted. In April of 2025, Customs submitted a $40 million Port Infrastructure Development Program grant application. We also had met during this time with USDA to discuss financing options and received a financing amortization schedule, just in case. In July of 2025, MARAD issued a full grant execution notice and notice to proceed. In September of 2025, meetings with DPW were held to update plans based on lessons from Seattle site visit, and Department of Public Works work request has been submitted. The current status: Customs now has $2 million in federal funding secured for the A&E. The overall cost of the facility is estimated to cost anywhere between 28 to 30 million, maybe possibly 40 million. And additional federal and local funding sources are actively being pursued at this time. The project is firmly tied into port modernization and national security objectives, but it cannot be completed within the original statutory deadlines. The challenges we face are federal grant award amount. We may or may not get the full amount, some amount, or partial amounts. Then, in addition to that, we will need to cover the 25% cost share between $8 to $12 million. And then to consider at whatever time we decide it's going to be built, inflationary costs, procurement processes, and the review process conducted by the Attorney General's office. In closing, while Customs has worked diligently, the scope, cost, and federal compliance requirements of this project demand more time. This bill is not about delay. It is about ensuring that Guam finally establishes the customs inspection facility our island has needed for decades. I respectfully urge the committee and the legislature to support this bill so that we may continue our critical work in protecting our borders, our people, and our resources. And to quote the Vice Speaker in the previous hearing, Please do what is right for the people of Guam. I respectfully urge the committee and the legislature to support this bill so that we may continue our work. Thank you.
Half a day and good afternoon, members of the 38th Guam Legislature, attendees, and to the fellow audience watching live right now. I'm Representative Charlie Balbastro from the 35th Guam Youth Congress, and as I'm always too proud to say, a former junior ROTC cadet. I speak here today on behalf of Bill number 183-38, relative to supporting the Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency's effort to the starting phase of the custom satellite inspection, holding and maintaining a safe, sterile facility. I just want to start off with giving a bit of my insight and thoughts on the bill. Having the Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency's support does indeed making Guam a secured place to be protected from danger or any harm by our fellow residents on Guam. I truly indeed to have my support on this bill as the mark of a beginning on a new facility. Illegal substances are one of the biggest problems we faced right now in this island, including the very horrifying cases we barely see in this island. Any sense of violence and illegal addictions must be stopped as soon as possible. None of this should have happened at all. The challenges we faced until this present day can lead to either a serious consequence or a minor warning. Having both agencies involved will help make Guam a better place and a better land to ever live like ever before. We need to continue to seek the island's improvement on this day to try to do our part, stand on our grounds, and putting ourselves together to partake of the most and astonishing game plan is expected. Upon all I've just said, this bill will help the community of Guam to bring the past the healthy living of Guam, just like it's mentioned about the threats of natural resources and essential ecosystems we need, as stated on the bill by Senator Gumataotao, to keep the Guam's ecosystem clean, the economy clean, and the important resource for such projects and illegal action or substance prevention on Guam clean as possible, to make the island a great place to live and proudly enjoy the heavenly goodness of Guam. Keep doing what you're doing. Biba Guam, Biba CQA, and Biba Les Luturan Guahan. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Senator Gumataotao.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing me to start the questions. And I got to say, I'm pretty pleased that we were getting to get an update on this important project today. And I know that we were mentioning the MARAD 2024 grant. What about 2025? Is there any chance that looking at the next, call it next program year, could it be possible that MARAD could cover the estimated $40 million? I know we have a cost share, Mr. Director, but any thought about extending to the next step of the grant process for this facility?
Thank you for that question, dear Senator. I'm hoping that the grant that we have submitted will cover what we need to cover to build this facility. As I mentioned, the challenge is there is a matching that we will require for us to get at least the 80%. I've got the commitment from the governor that she is in support of what we're doing. She's willing to craft any type of legislation to move and see if whether or not we can identify at least that amount for the matching for this upcoming year. So I'm hoping that we can solidify that particular engagement with the grant and move forward with this construction.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Prado. And just, Mr. Chair, for the record, I mean, this is, while it's important that the Office of the Governor is helping lead on this project, but I must say for the record that to get Congressman Moylan involved in this, I would hope that the chorus will continue to grow about the importance of not a grant, but getting a full appropriation from Congress to fund this specific facility. And I'm hoping that he's watching, and I know they are, that they can help in that effort.
And I can assure you that the congressman has been communicating with
Oh,
us.
no, I know he's communicating, but what we need from him is an action for an appropriation, but I digress.
Thank you for that.
I just wanted to add one thing. You mentioned that you're collaborating with other agencies to include GITA. How's that coming along so far in terms of looking at alternative funding sources? Because earlier, Chief, you mentioned just in case. So I guess just in case, how is the effort with GITA coming along?
Yes, with that respect, Senator, yes, we've been communicating with GITA. They have also mentioned alternatives in looking forward to see and secure some sorts of funding for this particular project. And they even mentioned about lease-to-own turnkey type of a loan. If I'm not mistaken, we have also approached USDA.
Mr.
Joe Daegu has also met with the chief and talked about financial arrangement that we can move forward in identifying funding for this type of project. So there are several things that we're looking forward, but I'm hoping that what I mentioned earlier will continue to fast track the construction of this project.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Prado. And let me just take this one more step to this, what you just mentioned. Based on the recommendations that were put forward by the Office of the Public Auditor through Public Auditor's Report number 15-01 that was issued in March of 2015, including but not limited to having the Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency implement the basic principles and procedures of internal control over use tax collections, to provide responsible assurance that collections are safeguarded from loss or misuse. How has the recurring issue of use tax collections impacted CQA's preliminary facility and operational planning efforts, and can the use tax issue help fund this facility?
We've been communicating with Revenue and Tax on this issue. There were certain things that were pointed out by the auditor, and I've made the commitment to meet with the Director of Revenue and Taxation to go over those particular concerns that were raised by the public auditor, and to ensure that we make the correction that's necessary to ensure that we can bridge the gaps of what's going on with use tax. The biggest concern that we have right now is automation. If we can automate customs at this point in time, we can rectify all the concerns that the OPA is saying. And that's what we're moving forward with, the customs automation.
All right, thank you so much with that, Mr. Prado. And again, Mr. Chair, just one bit of, I guess, call it a funding source perhaps. And I know that while it'll help in automation to help them what they're doing today, but I think in case, we need to go, as the chief said, just in case, the option of use tax would be helpful for this particular project. So with that, thank you, Mr. Prado. Thank you, Customs. Thank you for your testimony today, sir. And that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Senator Lai?
Sujusmasi, Mr. Chair, and thank you all for your presentations today. And hopefully, we can get this done in this next time frame. So just wanted to confirm a couple of things. So you said, I appreciate the timeline that and that your discussions of all these different parties, but what avenues is the congressman pursuing? Because it wasn't in the NDAA and it wasn't in the budget. So, and you said you had asked earlier for like community development funds, but that didn't come through either. So what do you expect anything or not?
So initially, when we were working with Congressman Moylan's office, we were informed of the possibility of receiving community project funding. And so based on whatever project we submitted, they would try to see if we could get funding, and so we put in an application for several different projects. And as a result, we were able to get the $2 million that typically, if we were left to try and source it on our own with our budget constraints currently and the reliance on the general fund, we would probably not receive the funding at that point.
So you're saying you did receive community project funding?
Through
$2 million?
Through the Maritime Administration.
Okay,
So-
that's different, right?
So he was used as the catalyst to reach out. He didn't appropriate money from Congress. He met with the administration officials from the Maritime Administration, and so they got in contact with us, and we worked closely, and we were happy when to find out that there was $2 million at least to start off with the A&E.
All right, because I thought that was the port. The port is the one working with the Marit grants, and that, in fact, in one of the testimonies, it says it's the port that got you the grant, and then it says that the port had a preliminary consultant, or a consultant for the preliminary concept. And
Yes.
Yeah, we could talk
Yes,
about that.
Senator, we got involved with the port when they were doing their master plan. They've included customs as part of that, and they assisted the agency in identifying the conceptual design for the lots that we've got, which is the 4 acres. So they provided us a conceptual design on how to better utilize the 4 acres that we have to the best of the funding source that we have, and that's how we got involved with the Port Authority. They assisted us in crafting the conceptual plan.
Okay, and the details of what they put into that preliminary conceptual design are available to us?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious, and I just want to know, because, of course, my interest in this is we're promising the people of Guam big, right? That we're going to stop invasive species, and that, more importantly, we're going to stop drugs, right, from coming in. And I know that this includes X-ray machines and sterile environments, and that you do it without moving it anywhere else. So I understand that, but in the design, and I know you went to and see other places, so that's good. But can you give us some assurance of what in this design, or did you have any customs experts, or law enforcement experts, or drug experts, or invasive species experts also consult or make sure that for your particular purposes, very different from the ports, that this facility is going to be designed optimally, that no one can, there's no loopholes.
Right. So one of the members who went on that site visit, Captain Pete Ofishar, could provide information rather than just coming from me.
Yes, so we did a site visit in Seattle, and we looked at one of their CESs, which is a centralized examination station, and that handles a lot of the containers from the Port of Seattle, which is one of the larger West Coast ports. So based on what we needed to build, we spoke with their chief of trade and their assistant port director. So they basically gave us a tour, and we discussed if it would work on Guam, and they assured us that the processes that they do there would definitely work with us here. So we got some of their designs and their regulations and the way they do all different types of inspections. So we have that from them.
All right, and what gives you confidence that we're going to intercept drugs with an X-ray machine, or whatever? What else gives you confidence that we're going to intercept drugs through this facility?
This facility will give us more capacity and more equipment to actually do more thorough inspections at a higher rate. So with more inspections, we should have more drugs, including intelligence as well.
Including what?
Including intelligence that we receive on better using risk management to do assessments on what containers should be inspected.
And that's something in the design or something in this facility?
Well, the facility will enable us to do more non-intrusive inspections with x-rays, handheld scanners, and other devices that will allow us to do quicker inspections and more thorough.
All right. Do the, we went on tours before, and we talked about these x-ray machines, and I'm always intrigued at how we are intercepting drugs with x-ray machines. And it seems very difficult to actually see that versus something else. But my understanding, and maybe you could just explain this to those who are watching, what are you actually looking for drugs in there? Or are you looking for things that look different or look more suspicious, or you have like some protocols that you're looking for? Just I want you to assure them of why we should put our hopes into this facility.
Well,
Because we have x-ray machines right now at the port, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, please.
Some of the x-rays we have right now are just two-dimensional. Some of the ones we look at getting are three-dimensional. And with that, basically what we're looking for is anomalies. So if they say, for example, it's supposed to be sacks of rice, and we see something else that is odd or an anomaly, then we'd subject it to further inspection. So we compare the manifest with what we see through the x-rays, and depending on that, if we see any anomalies, we refer it for a further inspection.
Okay, and you are going to vouch to us that this is going to be a customs, what we end up with is going to work for customs to the best capability. We're not going to say later on, well, it was designed by the port or it was designed by DPW's experts and not our customs law enforcement regulatory experts.
Yeah, when we were developing, we first started working on the planning of the facility, we found that we're talking with some of our federal counterparts, and they recommended that we do a site visit to a similar facility in Seattle. So we worked with CBP, and we met with them. We toured all their different facilities, and we asked them what would be the best for Guam. And we told them our capacity, our population, and the basic facility they showed us, and the way they manage things, even as far as their rules and regulations for running these facilities, were provided to us by them.
All right. The Attorney General also wrote testimony in support, but he gave us some recommendations. He's recommending that we also require 100% mandatory drug inspections immediately at the port and allow the AG to select a drug czar to ensure the integrity of those mandatory inspections. First of all, I want to ask, will this facility allow you to do 100% inspections?
To answer the question, dear Senator, there's no way that we can conduct 100% inspection. And I continue to say this because that's impractical at this point in time. You have to understand how we deal with trade facilitation at the borders. We balance trade facilitation and commerce at the same time and continue to ensure that we move goods out to the community in a timely manner and timely fashion. It's not saying that we're not going to conduct inspection, but there are certain procedures that we do to ensure that we keep our island safe. And that's the procedure that we use, like any other customs administration throughout the world. That is the procedure and the best practices that we're following at this point in time.
Have there been any interception of drugs at the port in the last 2 years?
We have interception at the port, mainly marijuana, MJ. We are trying at this point in time to do whatever it takes because the AG continues to say the drugs are pouring in at the port. I don't have evidence at this point in time to tell you that that is true. What I'm doing right now is that I'm using my resources where I best need them. And I've been preaching every time I come to this particular venue that majority of our drugs that are coming in through the postal system, even up to this day. And I'm willing to provide this body if you want us to provide you an overview of the drug trafficking patterns and what we've been intercepting. Currently, we can do that for this body so that you can understand where we're coming from when we talk about the illicit drugs that are coming into our borders.
All right. I appreciate the work that you've done, especially through the post office interception, and that the #1 reported, #1 interception place for Guam right now. But I also understood that it was also a matter of where we put our resources. So we put, and where we put the dogs is very critical, the canines, and that if we put them more at the port, we might see more. Is that, do you agree with that or not?
I do agree with that. In fact, since January of this year, I managed to ensure that the drug detector dogs that we have acquired in the first quarter of last year, that have assigned all those particular resources down at the port. So since January, we've been increasing the presence of our canine teams down at the port, especially working through the CFS station, which are the container inspection stations that we have down at the port. And there's several that we allow to move containers from the port to this container inspection stations that are certified. And that's what we're doing now. And we're continuing to do that.
Okay, so I'm not trying to be difficult or question your abilities, but I just want everyone to feel confident, right? So if you've increased your capacity, your canine capacity down at the port, you've increased inspections, we still have the x-ray machines. They're not the ultimate ones like you were going to get. But to have no methamphetamines discovered through the port, is that normal for other ports?
I wouldn't say no. I mean, at any port of entry, especially the port is always susceptible to the movement of illicit drugs coming into our borders. As I mentioned, at this point in time, I have been communicating, collaborating with all the federal agencies that we work with. I have 7 task force officers assigned to these different federal agencies to deal with the importation of illicit drugs coming into our borders. I've met with DAA. I've sat down with them to see what information that they have with respect to the importation of meth coming into the port. And even DAA cannot sustain any type of information for me that I can use to show us evidence that it's coming in at the port. We're trying, and we will continue to try, because I'm not going to say that it's not coming in. We're just not finding it.
Okay, well, it is we're getting pretty desperate
Yes.
with our conditions here. Okay, so the funding that you're hoping, your $2 million, that's great, congratulations, good job to all of you. But now we're going to get an A&E, but to get the $40 million that you need, you applied to Merit, you're hoping Merit will cover 80%, and then we're going to need the local, right? Yes. If Merit doesn't come through, you said we're talking with USDA. Is that separate or?
Yeah, that's a separate.
So that's a possible loan?
Yes, most likely it's going to be, it has to be a loan.
All right, and where else? And anywhere else potential funding for this?
We have talked with Gita, and Gita mentioned something about floating a bond. And that's the approach that we're looking to, and hopefully that they can assist us in that matter. The other thing is the lease to own. That's another concept that we're looking at, is to see what we can do in working with Gita to follow that type of approach. So that's the other fund.
Okay, and then who has the final say as to what the A&E is going to include? That should be written in an RFP already or an IFB. Who wrote that? So you said DPW is going to go forward with the
Yes.
procurement. Are they going to write it?
Yes,
What the
they are
specs
taking
are?
over. Public Works will handle the procurement process of the A&E
Okay.
for us.
All right, that's why I'm asking about your expertise, right?
Oh.
So it's like what we did with the schools. So Public Work can design a school, but we really wanted the school stakeholders involved in what they really wanted in their school. So I really want to make sure you have a role in that process.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay. All right, and then the federal grant award amount that, sorry, this is the same, the merit, right? Okay, then that's it. Yeah, so I appreciate all your efforts. I'm just maybe going to ask one more time. If things have changed since we started this, right, 2018, and is there new technology that can help us to better detect, like, the invasive species that we've been missing? We've gotten several since 2018, the red ant, fire ants, the something else that just came in. I mean, that kind of stuff. Is this X-ray going to be enough? Are there new technologies that you're also going to incorporate?
Okay, if I may, Senator. So there are what they call border enforcement summits, border enforcement technology summits. We just missed the last one. It was just, I think, last week because we weren't able to attend. But these summits are regular. They're quite regular, and there has been a massive exponential increase in technology that currently, right now, with the way Guam Customs is operating, we could avail ourselves to. But just keep in mind that for the past 30 plus years, we've been paper-based. And so now we're hearing things about drones, we're hearing things about artificial intelligence and other technologies that are available currently in use by U.S. Customs. And so we're trying to grow leaps and bounds, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to work smarter. We're not trying to fix the old car, we're trying to change it completely so that the technology that is being offered is available to us. And one of the things I just wanted to talk about also is, in addition to all this technology, we're going to need to change our legislation in some respects. But the problem that Customs is facing is almost systemic. We've hired almost 70 officers in the last almost 8 years, and our number right now is around 126. And the number where we need to be is between 250 to 300. And that's not taking into consideration that the satellite inspection facility needs to be manned with not just customs officers, but management information specialists, technology people, and administrative support staff. So whenever we hire people, we just lost several people to CBP and HSI in the last few weeks. So there's no incentive. We're just a training venue for the federal government to come in and pick them up at the GS9 level. So we really need to do things to help. If you really want to protect the island and the people, you got to first look inward, and we're trying to do that. We're trying to work with the processes to ensure that our officers want to stay. We've got a whole bunch of new officers. I think almost more than half now are very young. They've got less than 10 years in service. Many of us are at my stage where we're on our way out. So the institutional knowledge, the skills and the capabilities, and the risk management and the knowledge of that feeling you get when I know I have to check that. We have to work at as a multi-pronged approach. So that works in collaboration with the satellite inspection facility, because we're going to need to work on our legislation, our mandates, create the harmonized coding system, and we're doing all that concurrently.
Yes.
So with that being said, we have the use of intel, we want to use risk levels, use of canine, use of technology in a collaborative effort to ensure that we're protecting the island. So with this satellite inspection facility, this is one facet of a multifaceted customs enforcement program. So, we're trying to address all the different priorities. And
Jesus Masi for all of that work, and I do appreciate your collaborative needs. And I did question during the budget why this custom cycle is small compared to the rest. It's one of the smaller ones, right? And I know, but retention is also a big issue, and all of the ones that you stated. One last question, just, so the port points out how this is a dual-use investment with the Department of Defense, and is military cargo going to be inspected through this inspection facility as well?
So one of the things that we're doing is that we're working with our federal partners. We're looking at it more or less like a one-stop. So our federal, military, and local partners would have a centralized examination place where we can all work together as opposed to working in compartmentalized areas. And then that would actually create a much more true, sterile customs area. If you look at the port, it may be a sterile area to a certain extent, but not to the point that customs needs. If you look at the way CBP operates, there are a lot of controls that they mandate. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to ensure that Guam Customs works in collaboration with our partners locally and federally, and also with the military to ensure that all these inspections take place and only the good guys get through and the bad guys we arrest.
So is that the design that we're anticipating to go forward with, that it's a collaborative
Yes.
venture in there? Okay, so hopefully that will help you to get your funding as well from Merit, right? That's what they're there for. Okay, well, Jesus Masi, and thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much for all your work to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lai. Vice Speaker Ana.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, thank you, Customs, for coming forward. Yeah, I think that this facility is, wow, way past due for us to get moving. And I fully support the measure to extend it and ensure that hopefully you guys will be able to facilitate in getting it built and better the inspections for our island. The only question I had is, Chief and Director, would the governor sign this piece of legislation?
I'm pretty sure, yes, she will sign this.
Okay. That's the only question I had. I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page here.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I fully support this. I think that the Customs and Quarantine has really waited too long for this facility, and the Port Authority has also chimed in and, has fully supported this measure too as well, so that Customs and Quarantine can have a place down there to actually conduct and secure cargo that needs to be inspected or re-inspected, whatever the case may be. But thank you guys for all your hard work. We truly appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. Thank you as well, yes, to the author. And as a matter of fact, the author, while we did the tour down at the port with your folks down there, that's when the author of the bill said, we got to extend this out. And so with that, thank you for that. As a result of that, of course, you have a bill that's being heard. And to Vice Speaker's question whether the governor is going to sign this as well, right? And the reason why I laughed at that, because and we're waiting for action, of course, on Monday, what this body is going to do. Because I amended in this body, we funded $1.3 million to CQA for your automation system. Likewise, $150,000 for your K-9. So, when we take action on Monday, which I'm almost positive that we'll take positive action, that you'll be funded. Again, your 1.3 for your automation system, and also the $150,000 for your K-9. I know you need much more than that, but we're working it, and we always talk about this, that you're a training facility for other federal agencies and all that. And I want to thank you guys for holding on and holding the line for us. I know you got some great challenges, but I'm hoping that we can maybe claw away at some of these challenges that you have over there, and get you to the point where you need to be. You need to be, because again, and one of the things too, working on this earlier, I think it was over maybe 2 months now. I know Senator Parkinson had a bill in regards to outsourcing, but we know that you cannot outsource your operations, but you guys were in agreement whether a public-private partnership in regards to building and equipment and things of that nature. So I know his bill is not going to move forward because he has to be probably a new bill. We can't mark that up because we cannot outsource your operations. that we can't do. But either he submits a new bill in regards to through public-private partnership for equipment and or facility, we can look at it and see again what we can legally do. Again, minus giving a private entity your duties, because we know we can't do that. So we're awaiting that and collaborating with Senator Parkinson's office and how we move forward with that. And I assure you that prior to this introduction, I'll make sure that you guys are, go through the bill, see what we can legally do. Again, that does not jeopardize your operation. Okay, with that. That being said, I'm good with this, and again, thank you, Senator Gumataotao, for the introduction of this bill, and thank you again for bringing this up, during our tour of your facilities and the challenges that you have pointed out to the committee. So. And it's productive that it's put out there. Thank you for that, Senator Gumataotao. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, for again holding the public hearing on Bill 183-38. My challenge to our colleagues that remain up here, maybe that are not in attendance, and not a member of the Committee on Transportation, Tourism, Customs, Utilities, and Federal and Foreign Affairs, I ask that you provide your input in the coming days as outlined in our rules back to this committee. I ask my colleagues to send an email to senator.lujan@guamlegislature.gov with your input and recommended changes to make Bill 183-38 better, as many of you have made it a point to say on the floor in recent sessions with other policies we have addressed here since the start of our term in the 38th Guam Legislature. For the record, Mr. Chair, ideas to change any part of this particular bill works in our process in the Guam Legislature. Again, to my colleagues, your thoughts, even if you're against it, it's important to this bill too. Thank you in advance for the support of the markup process of Bill 183-38. Once again, that is our job. It is what we are elected to do here in the Guam Legislature. Mr. Chair, we as government leaders and security experts all over the Pacific are worried that the maritime transportation system could be used by terrorists to smuggle personnel, weapons of mass destruction, or other dangerous materials into the United States of America. The discussion made its way into and around the recent Guam Defense Forum in Tumon. We, as a community, must be concerned that ships in U.S. ports like ours and others in the region, particularly large commercial cargo ships managed daily by the Port Users Group and others in attendance, or cruise ships and industry, Mr. Chairman, that I know you have an interest in growing here, could be compromised or, God forbid, attacked by terrorists. I am aware that the same experts are concerned that a large-scale terrorist attack at a U.S. port could not only cause local death and damage, but also paralyze global maritime commerce. We must do better to protect our community from these real and potentially devastating threats today. No more pulling back, Mr. Chair. The effort discussed today via Bill 183-38, initially recognized through public law from the 34th Guam Legislature in 2018, must be supported every step of the way. We cannot and we should not give up. illegal drugs, weapons, invasive species, and the long list of unwanted and dangerous threats. Do not give up. Evil, bad actors will find a way, invest the resources needed, endanger all of our families, risk our environment, and do everything possible to get through even the most secure facilities that we might build in the future. Therefore, Mr. Chair, we must do everything in our power to continue the fight against these evils before they destroy the very fabric of our island society. With the amended deadline of July 2026 quickly approaching for CQA to utilize government of Guam property pursuant to Public Law 183, Bill number 183-38, if approved by this body, provides the agency and the Container Inspection Facility Working Group with additional time to secure financing options and finalize facility layouts and cargo flow plans. Mr. Chair, by providing CQA with the additional time that it needs, this legislature will ensure the agency, together with its local, federal, and military partners, will have the necessary infrastructure and resources moving forward to protect our citizens and environment against known and developing threats. Thank you, Mr. Chair, colleagues, and stakeholders, again for your attendance today and participation in today's public hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Gumataotao. And likewise, we had received also a written testimonies from Attorney General Moylan, likewise from General Manager Rory Respicio from the Port Authority of Guam in support of the bill as well. And Mr. Balbastro, thank you very much again for your testimony. It's very important, and it's great to be able to see folks, the Youth Congress coming out and testifying for the bills, whether you're for it or against it. It's great that we have their voices heard, here in the People's House. With that being said, this committee will continue to accept written testimony on this bill for the next 7 days. Testimonies may be addressed to Senator Jesse A. Lujan, Chairman, and mailed to either 163 Santo Papa, Sana Santo Papa, Aganya Guam 96910, or submitted via email at senator.lujan@guamlegislature.gov. With that being no further business, this public hearing is now adjourned. It is currently 4:35 p.m. Thank you very much and have a great evening. Stay safe, everybody. God bless. Thank you.